Oh, we are live. We are live. It says no viewers yet, but all is well. On in, Jesse. How are you?
Tansi, Ian. I'm good. You know, recovering from my week off, first one that I've had since December 2018, and it's good to be back. Thank you, Rosanna, dear child, everyone's favorite cousin, for filling in for Homie Thistle. So I'm glad to be here. How are you? Everything good with you?
Yeah, man, things are good. That was cool, bro. I never thought that I would co-host interview people with Rosanna Deerchild. That was a dream come true.
Yeah.
You know, you get to hear these indigenous interviewers and icons. You know what I mean? Like, she carries a voice of a lot of people, and just to be able to hang out and hear her, it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, like for our generation, she's literally the voice of our generation for Indigenous people. Every unreserved episode. And so I'm lucky you. That's great. I'm
It was
glad that
really
you
cool.
had that opportunity.
I'll take a day off too, so that you can have Rosanna come in and hang out.
Yeah.
So our guest today actually doesn't need any introduction. If you're Indigenous, you know Tantoo Cardinal. The first time I ever heard or came to see this person was in Dances with Wolves when I was a kid, and actually that's the only movie I ever went to the theater with my grandparents. My mom took my grandparents to go see Dances with Wolves, and it was that was massive. I think I was 10 years old when that came out, but
that movie's huge. I remember when that came out too. It was like
yeah. Well, yeah, I just want to let everybody know, welcome everyone watching. There's a bunch of people watching already, that our producer Kim Wheeler is backstage, and she'll be reading the comments and helping out behind the scenes. So you'll see her offer information up in the comments. And if you have any questions, she'll be filtering those through. And we're also depending you, our audience, to help us get the word out by sharing the link now on Twitter, Facebook, or Twitch. Or Periscope. So any of those platforms would be much appreciated. So tonight's guest, as I was mentioning, is a hero of Indigenous people and an icon of just TV and movies in general. And I'd like to invite everybody. I'd like to invite Tantoo Cardinal. Oh, on it.
I'm trying to get there.
Oh, you're here.
God.
You're here.
You made it.
Oh.
Hi. Can you hear us?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Can you even see me?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, really? I can't see you guys now. I'm getting all kinds of screens.
Oh. Must be a connection issue or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to let Kim know that, like, we see her. She was in. That's too bad. She'll be right back. But the Starman episode is what we had last week while you were away. How was camping, by the way?
It was good. It's good.
Bro, I saw you.
I just made some. Yeah, Lucy. Me and Lucy, we found out that we have 2 good embryos from our IVF, which is like winning the lottery.
That's amazing.
From 9 eggs, we have 2 healthy embryos. And so she said to me, Jesse, our kid needs a spoon. And she's like, you want to carve it? And so I sat down and I carved 2 spoons, one prototype, and then the other one I made. And so that's kind of like a returning to our traditional roles, doing those things for our babies. And like, I think it's important that I spent the 4 or 5 hours it took to make that one spoon. Even though you ever made a spoon, they're actually very hard to make. They're not easy.
Bro, I am so impressed when I saw you like whittled a spoon. And I was like, he didn't whittle that. Like, there's no way that like he whittled, like, because I saw the end result before, like, however you set up your pictures on Instagram, it showed the finished product, and then it went back and it was just like a log.
Yeah,
I was like, there's no way he carved that out of a log. What were like? You didn't just have a knife? Was it just a knife you were using?
I had my like utility knife that I set camp up with, and I did it with that. It was an old
yeah,
Salvation
I see
Army.
Tantoo's back.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's bring her.
Hey.
Oh my gosh!
Hello.
Hi guys.
No, don't be sorry.
You know, I'm not a techie, eh?
Yeah, neither are we. We're all still trying to figure this out right now. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm a little bit of a frazzle kind of situation here. I was trying to cook a chicken. And,
oh no!
And this buzzer keeps on going off, and then I couldn't. And then I open up to see you guys, and it says, "No, your system doesn't take steamboat or steamroller or whatever you guys are." And so I've been clicking and replacing and clicking again. Anyway, here we are.
Did you get the chicken cooked? Is the chicken cooked?
Did I get what?
Is the chicken cooked?
No. The woman from upstairs whose place this is, she came and took it. She came down and, what is that noise? I've never heard this. And I don't know why it's acting like that. It's just for you guys, I guess.
Yes.
And it was a fire. It's a fire alarm.
Yeah, fire alarm for no reason, and she never even heard it before. She didn't know what that noise was. Just for us.
That's special, then, huh?
Yeah.
So
yes. It's really good to see you guys. That was so much fun at North of 60. Isn't it?
That was a lot of fun. That was special, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, Tina.
Yeah. Huh.
And your background was so nice. You know.
Yeah. Sorry.
Time.
Go ahead, Jesse.
Your background was so nice last time. This
is
like your living room now.
I'm not at home.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on the road. I'm in quarantine actually. Because I left LA because I had a what do you call that? I had a grant to write my one-woman show, and I have to do it or I have to pay that money back. My gosh! And so I'm in quarantine now till the 14th, and then I'll slip on over to Calgary and work with Denise Clark with One Yellow Rabbit and create a 1-hour show out of this. I got about 10 minutes written, and we'll expand that and create that. So I'm going into creative mode.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
It is terribly exciting. I mean, this is something that I've been plotting and scheming and planning for a long time. A long time.
So did you fly across the border then? Is that you flew across the border then, eh?
No.
Oh.
I don't know when I'll fly again. I drove. I got a tent, and I got my friend lent me a bunch of stuff, and a friend gifted me. Do you know that you can get a refrigerator now? You don't even have to carry ice bags. You plug it into what they used to plug cigarette lighters in. And you have a fridge there sitting in your front seat, or you can put it in the back. It's got a pretty good extension cord. My friend gifted that to me, and with a little lamp, LED light that's got a couple of flashlights, and it's just like, wow, that's a long ways away from the old horse and wagon days.
Yeah, the frozen block ice days, right?
Yeah. You know, water all over your food, and the food lasted for 3 days.
That's incredible. That's such a change of touring, eh? Like touring around, you used to not have your own fridge like that.
Yeah,
I remember having to plan your meals.
Yeah, that's what I did. I cooked 3 meals because I was going to be traveling for 3 days. And then my friend lent me his little Coleman stove, and just out there on the prairies there.
So you're not in LA right now?
No.
No, I'm not. And I'm not. I'm just outside of Calgary.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
that's right on.
That's
Is it warm there, or?
And
we're getting roasted here. I'm in Haudenosaunee, Hamilton territory, and the sidewalks are melting. Literally, the 401. The pavement's buckling. It's so bad. Yeah,
Oh my
35.
God. See, I was really glad to be getting away from LA because that's exactly what's going to be going on. And then here it's cold. It was felt like fall when I went out outside the door this morning.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
I heard that Calgary's having.
Huh?
So I heard Calgary was having like flash floods and stuff. Like it's having really weird weather right now too, huh?
Really? Oh, I just got a Wi-Fi late yesterday. I haven't checked in on the locals.
Okay.
Keeping an eye on those crazy, those crazy Trumpers. Raising hell over there at Mount Rushmore. You know,
yeah.
I think they're really trying to spark some kind of a military reaction. Because if they get a military reaction, then they can't have an election. And that's the only way to still be in there. I guess I shouldn't be talking politics.
Absolutely. We could talk about whatever we want here. This is our space for Indigenous people to talk about how we want.
Yeah. You guys are just doing a fabulous job. I wish I had more time to catch up on your shows, but it's been pretty crazy out.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's so awesome. Thank you so much.
That means a lot coming from you. Yeah. You were just in LA though, right? Like you were hanging out in LA because you got a new show.
I went there doing Stumptown, and we got a second season. And I got trapped there when they first called the first isolation. I was thinking about coming to Alberta at that time to work on my one-woman show. That was the plan for April. I was going to come plan my school, come plan a one-woman show, and I'll be cool. And then they shut the border down. Nobody wanted anybody coming in their place because everybody was all freaked out about COVID. And so now things have settled up enough so that if you isolate for 14 days, then you're free to move about. And so there were some things that you could do on Zoom, but to work in a theater and write a performance piece is not one of those things that you can easily do on Zoom. So, and sure enough, I got in my car on Monday, and by that day, was it Monday? Canada reclosed the border again. But because I'm a citizen and because I had a place to isolate, they let me through the border. And then when you get across, there's another check stop where they check your temperature and they see if you met up with anybody on the way, and they look you in the eye, see if you're telling the truth. I don't know what they're looking for, maybe signs of sickness or something. But Canada is really serious, and that's a good thing. Look what's going on in the States. I mean, those numbers are just climbing and climbing.
Yeah, like what's the climate down there for people like you? You've seen it with your own eyes. We've only heard about it in the news. Like, could you describe how the fear or whatever is going on down there?
I suppose there's fear. There's, around LA, I noticed a lot of almost like indifference. I saw a lot of people, walking around without masks again. And then there are a lot of people that did wear masks. So there's, kind of a split psyche about all that stuff. But I kind of sort of stay out of that. I don't consider it my chaos because we have been born into chaos. We have seen chaos. We've breathed chaos, and we've performed chaos. We come from a very, very informed background about when things aren't right. So it doesn't surprise us. We're not caught off guard. It's just kind of a rhythm, I think. That's the way I look at it anyway. So I guess it makes sense for a lot of people that it is chaotic and maybe it's surprising, but I just feel like we've had the prophecies, we've had the stories, and we've had an outside view. We've sat on a ledge on the outside of this society. We have not been right within and a part of what that society is. At least I haven't really felt like I was part of it. I was an observer of a lot of that, of what's going on. So, we know how to make a fire, and we know how to, make a bed and keep yourself warm in the rain and all that kind of stuff. So there's a certain amount of confidence in that. But things are very different now than they were in the 30s. There were more animals. There was more to feed us in the bush. So, and in that sense, it really is opening up a whole new world. I think that what's happening is that we are being asked to share wisdom and share resources, and those of us who are willing to see the oneness in who we are as human beings, I think we're going to be better off. Otherwise, I mean, that it's absolutely there. The darkness, the violence, the fear, that's all available, as is the other side of the coin. And I think that we can dig that out and make the best of that.
It's interesting that you mentioned that. That's so like profound, because like the homies chatting was kind of a reaction of sharing Indigenous knowledge. Ian asked me, he's like, you want to just get on and share what we know to help other people in times of COVID? Like you said, there's a reaction, right? You can look at it negative or positive, and ours was to share and create like an Indigenous online community so that we could just share ideas, right? Remember that, Ian? Is kind of like exactly what she's talking about.
I've had plenty of discussions like touching exactly what you were talking about, Tantoo. The idea of we've already lived as Indigenous people, we've already lived through our apocalypse, right? Like if you look around, like this is what Mad Max looks like to us, right? Like we've had our language taken away, our way of life, like everything was taken from us. And so we've already lived through pandemics. We've already lived through our destruction, our way of life. So like tomorrow, if the, money and gasoline aren't a thing in our society anymore, that was the same as, the buffalo not being a part of our way of life all of a sudden within like one lifetime. Yep. Right. So that culture shock is massive. And we've already gone through it. And like you were mentioning, like, I'm afraid when the power goes out in LA and, you can't go to the grocery store anymore, what are those people going to do? And it's like, well, right. Like my cousin, I know my cousin is going to go hunting. He goes hunting every year. I still have moose from last year. Right. So I know I'm going to have moose. So if the power goes out, like I'm going to be okay. I know that. But I'm afraid for like, non-Indigenous people who don't have that connection, who don't know how to get food other than going to the grocery store. And something that I'm trying to encourage is I started inviting a lot of my friends, especially my Black friends, to come hunting this season with me, to come. And my cousins are going to take them fishing. They're going to take them hunting. They're going to show them how to get this food in that good way. Tobacco, respect, like they're going to show them the ceremony. And it's important that we show people how to be human beings again. And I think that that's where we're at right now. Right.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, very much so. And, and I think the prize, the gift that we have out of all of those generational apocalyptic experiences that we've come through is that we have a relationship with natural force. And that's where it all comes from. The nurturance, the guidance, the vision, anything that you need as a society, as a human being, you tap into that natural force and you can find it there. You can find the answer. You can find it all there. And that's the way that we have survived, by being there and having that relationship.
You're making me want to get back to Saskatchewan to see my mom right now, so I can just get out there with her and have that relationship on the land. Yeah.
Yeah, we all have that story of going blueberry picking. Like we all have like a connection to things like that. I know, like that's my connection. Going swimming in Lake Nipissing, and then going swimming early and getting blueberries to make blueberry pancakes with my mom is a memory that will forever stick with me. But again, like we just knew how to live, right? Like that like knowing where to pick berries is also a very important communal thing. And you start hearing these stories about where I'm from in Nipissing, like the elders today are still alive. They're in their 80s now, but they're talking about a time when they lived communally as children. So like within our lifetime, everything changed. So when they were kids, all the houses faced each other, and there was like a fire in the middle, like the hearth, and whoever was up first would start that fire and then put on the coffee. And as people woke up, they'd go to the root cellar and pull out their potatoes and vegetables and put it in that one big pan in the middle, and everyone would eat together. Like that's how within like people who are still alive today, that's how they lived. Like it's not that far off.
Yeah.
Also sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, please.
Well, no, that was just exactly what I was thinking about in terms of food. How one pot had to feed so many people. So gone are the days of choice. You have to live without that choice of I'm vegan. I can't have it. Well, I don't know. You kind of have to be hungry if you're going to eat over at Auntie's house,
Just to switch gears a little bit, I teach Métis studies at York University, and I teach one of your films. It's a road allowance film, and I wanted to ask you: Are your family road allowance, or do you come from road allowance? Because the way you depicted it in that movie was just like hearing my Aunt Bernadette speak about.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Do you know the film I'm talking about? It's the CBC.
Oh, was that 4-part series?
I think so.
Yeah.
With the family that moved just outside of Winnipeg. It's in Winnipeg somewhere set.
No. My family is kind of my experiences are kind of like odd duck in those terms. I'm more connected to my Indian ways, my Indian relatives, and I was raised as Métis in Anzac, a half breed in those days. I didn't hear about Métis until we got to the city. This is weird. So no, I learned about road allowance, from Maria's book, and I heard stories. I certainly heard stories. And I don't know, what, there's a thing, compassion, that's in the body of an actor. And so you identify, you understand, and there's a magic in the life that I've had, certainly, where I'll be brought places, and where I'll meet situations, and I'll hear stories, and these things are a part of my body then. And then when I'm asked to perform, it's available. That's been my research, is life experience taking me here and there. And that's why from the very early ages of my acting, I really identified with my ancestors are taking me around. My ancestors have decided what stories I'm going to be doing. So if somebody says my work is stereotypical, they didn't see the original page I got, and they don't see the great big picture of where we are in our awareness and our development as a society. And so I have the absolute faith and trust in that vision that comes from the ancestors who know a lot better than we do. And I do the best I can with the work that I'm given. And that's what I've done for 50 years, is try to bring in another idea. Because a lot of the stuff that I was asked to do in the beginning were all written by the outsiders, all written by our white relatives. And so I had to work with their understanding and what they were attempting to go to. And most of the time it wasn't my character story, but what I would do is bring in as much as I could to so that maybe another idea would pop out of it for some other writer or some other artist will get an idea from some nuance that I was able to bring forward. So I wasn't only working for, gee, my hair is great. I wasn't only working for that piece that I was working on, but also working for whatever might come next. Because, you know, as our history was hidden from us, our history was hidden from them. So we could be allies to colonialism and genocide, and they could be allies to colonialism and genocide. As we were put in residential schools, our ancestors put in residential schools, and my cousins put in residential schools, and being programmed to believe that they're nothing, of no value. Our white relatives were being taught for all those generations that we were nothing and we were of no value. So it's kind of a mess we've been working ourselves out of. And as far as your book, Jesse, I've just been getting triggered trying to read that. I haven't gotten very far.
Sorry about that.
No, you're not.
It gets better at the end. Just know it's a happy ending. So
yeah, the happy ending is right now. Is you know, having a
beginning. Yes.
Yeah, just the middle part is a little tough to get through.
Yeah, Justine just finished it and is heartbroken, Jesse. Like she loves your book, and yeah, it really affected her. Like it does everybody. Your book is it's brilliant, man. Like it's
did she get a signed copy or no?
Well, we have a signed copy. Yes.
Okay.
You
yeah. No, I'll send you a signed copy to Tantoo. I don't know.
I don't know how to sign. Oh, okay.
I'll send you a signed one. I'll get Lucy to send it. Lucy's my boss, my wife. She does.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
No, thank you, Ian. Thank you, Tantoo. I'm very honored. You know.
But yeah, isn't that book, like, as much as you got into it though, Tantoo, it's really good, huh?
It is. It really is. It's vibrant. It's
the way he describes stuff.
You're experiencing this terrible thing all over again.
You know what's the coolest part of it is that the first award that I got for literary awards came from the Indigenous community. I won the Indigenous Voices. So for me, that I don't need really much else. You know, I'm just happy that they embraced it. So
yeah, and you know, and that's something that everybody should be knowing about, and because we need compassion like crazy. You know.
Yeah. It's strange though. Like I get people like I guess settlers asking me, "Can you tell us 10 other Indigenous writers to read?" And I think it was Therese Mayet. She said, "White authors don't get asked by like outlets if they can suggest 10 white authors. So why do they do that with Indigenous authors?" You know, so.
Yeah, I like that's something like I think we all. Sorry, no, please, sorry.
No, I cut you off last time. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that we all kind of have that, you know, Indigenous prefix before whatever we're working on, no matter what it is, right? Like Indigenous writer, Indigenous musician, Indigenous actor, right? And it's not until we start just being a producer or a writer or an actor, like we're not really seen as being a full human being. We're seen as like, you know, being this something to be othered, right? But
that was so frustrating for me in terms of when I do my acting, the actors around me are getting nominated for awards and all that kind of stuff. But like, for example, in Dances with Wolves, what movie was it? There is this critic, Sheila Benson, who's an LA critic, and she did a critique of my work and gave me an honorary Oscar. I think it was for my work in Legends of the Fall. Because, and I got the impression so many times that, oh, that's natural, that's just natural work. Without really considering that, no, I wasn't born in that teepee. No, that's not my regular dress, and no, that's not even my language in Dances with Wolves. But you get slotted, and it's just, you're separate. You're from that other place. So that I'm kind of in a place now, for the past couple of years, especially last year, the year before last, when I had 4 films in the Toronto Film Festival, and there were just awards popping up here and there and this and that. And it was like, whoa, what's going on here? There is something shaken down. Ancestors are up to something. So just hold still, just keep on moving with it, and go and go and go. Next thing you know, I'm winding up in Hollywood, in Los Angeles, and meeting these people that have this passion, this determination, and this vision that these things are going to be changing. And there's going to be things that are going to be changing. There's documentaries that are happening, that are things that are in production that people are going to be seeing. And look at our filmmakers, look at our storytellers, look at our actors, our writers, and all the people that we have out there that are shifting and changing our stories now.
Do you see that, like, down there, and because you're part of the bigger Hollywood scene? Do you see a lot of you're mentioning shifting? Is that happening down in the bigger studios down there for Indigenous people?
That I'm hired, and that my character is moving into the 2nd season, is a change. That hasn't happened before. And she, my character over the 1st season, I think that we have cultivated a stronger voice, and we'll be cultivating a stronger vision. And we have been working with these creators, and they've got confidence in what we have to say. And I'm saying we, because I've got this amazing cultural, well, lack of a better term, they call cultural advisor, but she's a doctor she's a professor at San Diego University, and has been for 25 years. She teaches Native American cinema, Native American studies, and she's just powerhouse. And I'm so excited to be able to be working with her, because I need people that are really smart and educated and know what they're doing. I've got ideas, I've got passion, I've got life experience, but you need more than that to move things forward.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to start a talk show and interview Native people, so I got a university professor to join me.
Right. Okay. Well, okay, now. It used to be you'd have to sell your soul to wind up with a piece of paper like that.
Yeah, not anymore, thank God.
Yes. Oh. Thank God, and White Buffalo Calf Woman.
Yes.
Yeah. So you were saying that you are working on your one-woman show. Can you talk about that a bit? That's really exciting.
Well, yeah.
If you can't, it's okay.
Huh?
If you can't, it's okay, but I'd love to hear about it.
It's very limited and what I can tell you, but I will tell you that it's going on, and it'll be 2 works of a very intense work, and with this amazing woman, Denise Clark, who's been a part of this incredibly creative theater space called One Yellow Rabbit. And worked with her. We were doing a show. We were doing Red Sisters in Victoria, and she came along to work with the physicalities and all that kind of stuff. And after it was actually, she was on her way home, and we were having our little farewell lunch. And that's when I found out that she had Métis ancestors in her background. Like, whoa! And so I just feel like I'm in a really solid place. I don't have to fight for what it is that needs to come out and be said. She's very intuitive and just really sensitive and incredibly brilliant. And I just am so looking forward to the experience of a full-on creative working. There's one thing about working the way that I have all of those years is there's been so much bits and pieces. And after a while, it's almost like you put your own barriers up. You know you're only going to be allowed this much time, this much space. And so now I'm at that place where it's a full open road ahead. And the invitation is there. It's my space. Mm-hmm. What's happening now is my space. And that's where I'm going, to my space, to create this one-woman show and just to have a full bathe in creative beingness is just something I'm just so looking forward to that. It's amazing.
So what's your process like? Are you going out there and doing like improv and she's writing it down? Or are you guys working together, writing together?
I've never done this before. I've never worked with her before. I am assuming that it's going to be improv, that I'll be physicalizing all of these stories, characters, transitions, and then she, as the director, is grabbing pieces and highlighting this or that or the other, or let's explore more in this direction. I would imagine. I've never done this before. It's brand new.
I guess we'll have to wait and see what comes of it.
We'll have to wait and see and buy tickets.
I'll buy 10. I'll give you my word.
Yeah, I'll go. I'm going for sure. I want to shout out some of the audience. We got people from Milton, Jesse. We got people from Sudbury, North York, Toronto, Nipissing. Shout out Nipissing, where I'm from. So there's my family. We got someone from England, it looks like. Holy jumping. We got people from all over the world here.
You draw a global audience, Tantoo.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool. Hey. Oh, that's upside down? Yeah.
Well, here's a good question. This is from Emily Simmons on Facebook. How do you establish trust inside that process that you were just mentioning with the new director?
Yes. Well, that's what's kept me from actually doing this for so long. I didn't have trust. I didn't find anybody that I trusted I could work with all of that inside stuff. So I guess the answer to that is find a person that you trust and take it from there. And I've written a 10-minute piece. And so she knows the territory that we'll be traveling. And she is up for it. And so she has to trust me too, that I'm not going to block myself or you know, that I am going to trust her. And that's something that maybe another reason that I wasn't able to do it this until now is that I have been working on getting rid of the blocks of mistrust, because that's what happens when you are a mass of abandonment and all the other issues that we have coming out of genocide and colonialism and all those things. There's a lot of nits and ticks and all of that kind of stuff that is a part of the process to be able to get yourself so that you can trust yourself even to flow.
Well, I relate to that so much within my own work in academia. I just, because of abandonment issues and trauma in my family, just no trust. You know, the only person I think I trust is Lucy, my wife. So I really relate to that.
And you know, and then my ancestors have brought me to this new plateau. And so my responsibility is the ability to respond to what they have brought me to. They didn't bring me there to be distrustful and continue to cross my eyebrows at everything. You know, they brought me there to fly. So, and I'm sorry, guys, I think the isolation was there for my purposes. That, you know, and then that I was able to stop. I was not going to be going anywhere. There was no calls that I would have to respond to. There was no place I had to go. I had to stay where I was, and I had to work on the issues that I had in front of me. And it's been great for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny when you think like, yo, COVID was just for me to like figure out my you know, sometimes it feels like that though.
Yeah.
Right? Like
you know, yeah. And you know, it's just horrible. At the same time as this has been absolutely necessary, I send prayers and blessings to those spirits that have chosen. This is the way I'm looking at it. The spirits that have chosen to give up their life for this moment in our history, in our evolvement as souls, in this third dimension experience. And so my prayers go out to them and the families that are left in that grief and that horrible grief of your loved one being by themselves. But on some level, we're not by ourselves. You know, we don't know the visitations that are going on with all those relatives that are by themselves. Like George Floyd seeing his mother, you know, my God. And the lives that we don't even know about. We don't even know so many that we have lost in our civilization, in our societies. And it's taking the visibility of our Black brothers and sisters right now. They're the ones that are having the laser beam shone on them. And the peripheries are gathering our stories and our situations as well. Yeah.
Wow. You blew my mind. Wow. Incredible.
Yeah. I relate a lot to what you've been saying about being guided by the ancestors. I don't know how to explain it or you know, talk about it in a way that doesn't sound like you know, that doesn't sound very, very out there. But there were so many things in my life that I was headed in a certain direction, and then something happened where like the only way I could explain it is the ancestors being like, nope, go this way, and like turn me and like face me in a different direction. And you know, major things had to change in my life in order to be at the place where I am right now. And you know, I was touring a lot. I was touring with a tribe called Red, and if I was still with them, I wouldn't have the time or emotional capacity to take on language and culture, which has been like my major focus for the last 3 years. And you know, who would leave a tribe called Red at the height? Like when I left, it was like, you know, they were still on the way up. So it was just such a weird thing. And like I ask myself too, like sometimes, like, yo, what was I thinking? Like I could still be, you know, making money and touring and doing all this stuff, but it was like I just couldn't do it anymore. There were situations like I had a baby, I had things that were pulling me and keeping me home, that it made me also I got to hang with some elders and talk to some people who put things into perspective on what was actually valuable. And yeah, having those teachings really shifted my understanding of why we're here and why we're human beings, and why you know, those terms Nihewak and Nishnabeg and what those terms mean, and why we're here as human beings. And when you start getting the language, you start given these what I like to describe as like little notes from our ancestors on how everything works around us, right? You get given a word, and then it's like a little note that you get passed in class, and you're able to open it up, and inside it has a way deeper explanation on what that word means. So our ancestors knew how everything worked, and the more I look into it, the more I'm like, yo, we had it. This was the right way. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Did you hear my favorite one?
No, which one?
About the word for fire in Cree. The word for fire in Cree is iskoteo, and it's made of 2 words: isko, which means woman, and mete, which means heart. So fire is woman's heart, and then the stories go on to talk about the fire at the core of Mother Earth. So I tell my sisters, you are fire. You are connected to fire at the core of Mother Earth. Don't let anybody tell you any different. And then it really illustrates why our languages were outlawed.
Absolutely.
Why our ceremonies were outlawed, why our culture was outlawed. Because in our ceremonies, it's our relationship with Mother Earth. If you don't touch a baby, that baby will die. And so we have these ways of relationship with Mother Earth. And Mount Shasta, there are people that have ceremonies to with these sacred springs. They can communicate with the springs, and they have to fight these ignorant forces that they want to build a resort, or they want to build something that fits their idea of what society is. And so we're caught. You know, we're caught. We have to stand up for our mother. We have to stand up for our grandmother. And that's who we are.
Yeah. The teaching I got in Anishinaabe, shkode is fire. Shkode. And shka means first, new, or beginning, and ode means heart or center of a being. So that, like, again, it's like first heart or first center of a being. And the fact that we knew, like, the first being was Mother Earth and Tokmakwe, right? And the fact that we knew that there was fire at the center of Tokmakwe, and there's fire in the middle of all these beings. That was the first fire, right? The beginning, middle of a being. There's so much teaching in those words, and it's the fact that our language got taken from us so violently. Like you mentioned, like you know, our language is an instruction manual, and we were able to just go in the bush and be happy, right? Because all of our words explained what everything did around us. And so you know, capitalism came in and was like, hey, I want to make money off of that body and off of the land that they're just happy on. So how about I just take their instruction manual? So they took our language from us in a very, very scary way, right? Very violently. They took this language from us. And yeah, for me, like when we talk about reconciliation, like for me, reconciliation, and again, it's just personal, but it looks like give it back. Give back what was taken. Make my children as proud of their culture as you made my grandparents ashamed. Like that's what I'm looking for.
The issue I have with reconciliation is that it says that there was conciliation to begin with. and there never was conciliation. There was attempted conciliation. And so reconciliation, I don't know, maybe it's the wreck we're after. I don't know. So
that makes sense, actually.
How was that, Jesse?
I like that.
How long were you planning on your book? How long were you actually writing your book in your head before you got down?
It's actually just my 4th steps. I went through AA, and that's how I got off crack and alcohol. And so I'd been doing that since 2008, and I'd just been writing it.
Is that as long as you were planning it? 2000?
No. I was asked in 2016 to write it, and it took me about 3 months to write the book. 3 months.
Yeah, but if you were planning it all this time, right?
Yeah, just figuring out
places of trust and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Go back, talk to different people, and try to work out what actually happened, because it was some of the record is different than what appears in the police record, because they write whatever they want, and I write what I remember and who was telling the actual truth. And so yeah, it was a difficult process going back and trying to reconstruct the past like that, but seemed to be okay. Did okay. The book's done all right now. So
yeah, seems like it.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
I'd like to ask you, like, it seems like you're busier than ever. Like, for the last few years, you've been pumping out material more. How do you explain that? Like, you had like a really big, intense period in the 90s, and then now you're like back stronger than ever.
Well, I don't know. I guess you'll just have to read the book. Life goes and ebbs and flows, and things happen, and I don't know. It depends on where you were, I guess. Some people saw me more in other places. I don't know. It's just a long process of what's next. And for me, my path has been a healing path for myself, at the same time as my view, my vision of what I can contribute to a healing path. Because from probably about I came to the city in 65 from the bush and went to high school. And I saw the way that our people were treated on the outside world. When I lived in Anzac, we were the majority. And so there was a certain amount of humility on the part of the white people that were living there. They needed us for wood, for water, for, baby sick in the night, or whatever the situation was. So it was more of a balanced society that I came from. And then, but not to say there was no racism, that's for sure, and sexism and all those other isms. And then getting to the city to see the abject, my mother was living Skid Row, and I'd visit her. So I kind of had a vision of an experience in that world. And it's just kind of balancing act in being in all of these societies, and both societies, and kind of there's an engine inside that I guess it's a part of being an artist, where you're touching all these different events and situations and moments and colors, as love has colors, fear has colors, and all of these elements that we have as human beings. And when you say you're an actor, or you say you're an artist, you're saying, I can interpret the human experience. So when you say that to the universe gives you these experiences to interpret. And so you have some kind of an inside impulse. You have some understanding of what those experiences are. Or you might go out and think, oh yeah, I can do that. But I can't take that I don't know where my phone is. Ah, whoa! I don't even know where it is.
Sounds like it's in the couch.
Huh?
It might be in the couch. Sounds like it's in the couch.
Yeah.
I love how real this is.
No, hang on. Okay. Yeah. So where was I?
You're talking about interpreting experiences, and the universe gives back to you those experiences.
Yeah, and you learn more and more as you go along. You know the you know the skins of the onion kind of thing. It's you think, oh, I learned something about that experience, and then next thing you know, there's another layer to the experience. You got to learn more about the experience. So it's so I must have been away learning something.
You know, I think I figured it out. I went away for like 12 years, and that's probably what happened. You were probably always there, and it was I that dropped out and didn't watch any movies or anything. And then when I reappeared, you were back again. So,
Yeah,
because there's a time in my life where I just missed the whole block of like life.
Yeah, well, I had those times in my life too.
Yeah.
I had a few walkabouts where I learned some really, really important things, some very valuable things that I could not have learned in any other kind of situations. You know, I heard something once about the old Greek society, in that there was a place, okay, we have this thing called depression. And there was a place in the Greek society that was a garden. And it would be, you could go in there and there would be a place where you could just be. And it was called Sitting with Saturn. And your family could come and drop off food, or they could drop you off. You know, say you do that now, your family could come give you books. They could give you knitting or beading or carving or whatever it is that you might be inspired to do, but you're allowed to stay there for as long as you need be. And that was part of the society called Sitting with Saturn. And it was understood that you will have thoughts and perceptions and vision that you can't get in any other state. If you're happy and balanced and everything is cool, there's a certain bundle of thoughts and impressions that you have and you receive at that time. And so it's like the weather. You have different influences depending on if it's raining, if it's cold, if it's sunny, if it's this and that. Isn't that cool?
Oh yeah,
that's so cool. I've heard in a few languages. I think in Inuktitut, the idea of sila is it means like atmosphere, but it also means weather. But it also means like your emotion. So when you're asking like somebody like, how are you feeling? You're asking like, what's your weather like inside? And then like it made me like think of weather as being like, you know, the emotions of the earth. And like how beautiful is that concept, right? Like that's such an interesting concept. But what you were bringing up, the idea of sitting with Saturn. And having that place to be depressed, to find like visions and perceptions that you wouldn't have when you weren't depressed.
And that society was aware of it.
Yeah. We used to judge the success of our society by how well we took care of our most vulnerable, right? It wasn't like, yo, the one chief has all this stuff, so look how well we are. It's like, no, look how like well we take care of our sick, our vulnerable, the people who just lost, you know, whatever. Like everyone is taken care of the same, and we kind of lift everybody up, right? The most vulnerable is how we judge how well our society is doing.
That's right.
Yeah, I got a little bird in my ear here saying that in 14 days you'll be celebrating your 20th birthday's 50th anniversary. Is that true? How are you going to celebrate?
Yeah. I have no idea. I'll be working on my one-woman show. And my dear sister Tina was saying that she was going to see if she would drive out to Calgary and celebrate with me. I don't know, in this time of COVID, you know, how you know, birthdays were never celebrated when I was a kid. I, you know, just never had a birthday party. And so there's a lot of birthdays that have been by myself and solo. So, and then, you know, before I was really well known, before my birthday would be announced in the Sun newspaper, for example, I could be walking around, it'd be my birthday and nobody'd know. And I would watch what the universe would do, how the universe would note my birthday. And just like, I always remember where was I? I was at a Métis gathering or something like that. And I was walking down this trail, this road, and this guy was coming walking this way. And he took the hat off his head and he stuck it on mine. And he said, "There you go." Kept walking.
Best birthday present ever.
Yeah. Universe just handed me a birthday present. You know, this ball cap.
That's awesome.
Little things like that. That's so I don't know what's going to happen. I haven't reserved any dancing bears, but I might see one.
Well, if you can, watch Canada Reads, because it'll be going on then, and who knows if I'll be kicked off by then. My birthday is July 19th, so I'll have like I don't know, iced tea for you or something. Yeah.
Gil Cardinal's birthday was July 19th.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Yeah,
that.
and Greg Schofield's birthday is July 20th, the same as mine.
Wow.
And Brian, yeah, Brian's birthday, yeah.
A lot of big Indigenous names are on there, eh?
Tantoo, do you think that like Indigenous stories and acting and writing and like just being Indigenous right now is having like a moment? Like, do you see something different than you have in the business as of lately?
Have I seen something different?
Yeah, like, do you think like Indigenous people are being sought after for our stories and our acting and our writing?
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, I got invited over to somebody's place just last week. They're creating a series. And for the first time in my experience, this is a series that's not necessarily Native. One of the main characters is, that's new, and this is on the outset. And myself and my compatriot being invited over to talk about the foundations of the series, of foundations of the character, and the openness to talk about not only the character, but a whole world that character could inhabit, and other characters that inhabit that character's life. I mean, and this is in LA. This is top-notch people, and they want to know the truth. They want to bring something forward that's outside of that norm. The things that have been done that come from that place of assumptions and misrepresentations. They're not interested in that.
Can you tell us whose house you were at?
No.
Okay.
almost. Yeah.
I tried.
Nope. No, I mean, that's just one example. And we're kind of breaking through to this new generation of people. You know that there is a prophecy that Papa's just in the Papa's just prophecy that that said, this was in the mid 1800s, later 1800s, that warriors wanted to go to war with these guys that were these white people that were coming by and setting their tents on fire in the middle of the night because they didn't want them camping there on their traditional spot in their traditional land. And Papas just went into his ceremony and he said, you can go ahead. I mean, you can go ahead and fight, but these people have so much ammo. They have so much facility for war that you'll be wiped out. But there will be a generation of their children that will be our friends, that will be our allies. So I think these are the times that we are having allies that are understanding what it is that we're not happy about. And they're not happy about it either.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's so much that, like, our culture, even our language, it gives so much perspective, even that, like, you know, people seem to be grasping for and looking for and you know, looking for meaning in life right now. And, you know, like, you get given one little word and it'll give you like complete meaning on why you're here. For example, what's the word? Ndana Kobajigan. It means great grandparent, but it also means great grandchild. And that koba, it's used for like weaving. It means like to go in and out, like basket weaving. You use that koba in there. And Ndana Kobajigan is like the relative that I'm connected to, right? So and for me, like a great grandparent would call their great grandchild Ndana Kobajigan and vice versa. And for me, it answers why I'm here. It helps answer that anyway. It's like, I'm here because of Ndana Kobajigan. I'm here because of my great grandparents, but I'm also here because of my great grandchildren, right? And it gives me this purpose. And like right there, I got given this word, and I'm like, oh, that's why I'm here, right? And you don't have that in in English, right? You don't have that in French. You don't have these words that will break down and give you meaning when you when you get given this word.
Yeah, well, not to my knowledge. But I'm pretty impressed with some of the writers that I'm running into over there that really know their English. There's some words like, what? I never heard of that one. And so, you know, they have their secrets in their language too.
Yeah, but their language wasn't developed from the land like ours was, right? Like our language is from here. Like my language, Nishnawbemwin, the Nibising Nishnawbemwin.
You know what? I feel bad for my relatives there, because they got ripped away from the land long time ago. They got, you know, like our Irish friends, they got massacred off the land long time ago. And they have a language that they're trying to resuscitate and bring back, the Gaelic language. And what I tell them, what I suggest to them is that they even have their own songs. People that have lost that original language, whatever that original language is, so they have a song. They have stories of creation way back there that was taken away from them, just the same as we almost lost ours. You know, I come from the Fort McMurray area, and there was big interest in us being unconscious. Big interest in us being unconscious because of all that tar sands and all that stuff that's underneath the land. And so, you know, I have a compassion from so many of the non-Indigenous people that I met in the environmental movement and in my rights of nature gatherings that I was at in Ecuador and Peru. And there you meet people that are, you know, like the Sami people and people from all over the world. And there are, and I feel bad for those people that think they don't have that connection with the earth. You do, but you have to dig it up.
Absolutely. Like,
go find it.
Yeah, for sure.
Find it.
Even British people, the what's it called? The Stonehenge. It marks solstice. Like the Druids, like English people, the people who came and colonized us, they had a connection to the land and the cycles and the natural cycles of the world too. And they got colonized like we got colonized.
That's what I'm
saying. But just to touch on like what I was gonna mention about the language and how like specific our language is, my language will explain how everything works around Lake Nipissing or even the Great Lakes in an in-depth that no other language can give. Right? Like if you want to know how things work in Australia, learn the indigenous languages are there. If you want to learn how things work in Ireland, learn Gaelic. But around like the Great Lakes, that's where my language works. Just like your language works in the prairies, right? In ways that no other language.
However. When I've been working in other indigenous languages, when I had to work in Lakota or I had to work in Arapaho or some of the other languages, I know that there is a word in that language that's not written in here that is available, but I only know that because of my experience with Cree. So I can call up an expression, or I can it'll help me to memorize the line from the way the sentence is structured in terms of where the noun is, where the adjective is, and where the plurals are. And so that it's always my hope to be able to learn it well enough so the language speakers will be able to understand it. Because I've heard Cree spoken by actors who didn't have an original language, and they would try to learn it by phonetics, by sound, it's just about impossible to understand what's being said when a non-speaker is just using sounds because they don't know what they're saying. And so that's what I would say, is that there is a common structure, in a sense, between our indigenous languages. And apparently Russian is like that. Russian is an example of how our sentences and stuff are structured.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. But what I know, like from Mi'kmaq, Aki, like from the Mi'kmaq, like the ocean all the way to the Rockies, we share like one large language umbrella that, and it's not to say that like it's exactly the same, but it's the same way that like someone who knows French could get along with someone who speaks Spanish, and someone else who speaks Italian. It's kind of like on that where like they're plurals, they're the way they conjugate feminine and masculine, like we would conjugate in animate versus inanimate. We use K's and G's as plurals if it's animate, or an if it's inanimate. Like those sort of things are all the same. I think like the major difference, there's obviously like bigger words and stuff, but between Nehewak and Anishinaabe, it's you use hard K's and we use G's, and you use hard T's and we use D's. So like when you say sky, you'd say like kisik, where we say gijik, little things like that. But we'd get along, like we'd understand each other in ways that like, and that just means like having such a large language umbrella just means that we've been here forever, right? Like Europe is barely anywhere near that landmass, and it doesn't have that one language umbrella that we have. Anyway, sorry, I'm kind of rambling on. I don't mean to. One last question, Tantoo, if you don't mind. What sort of advice would you give to people coming up in the industry right now, not just for acting, but for writing or directing, Indigenous people telling Indigenous stories? Is there any advice to give to people coming up right now?
Just keep doing what you're doing. Do what inspires you. And yeah, just keep doing it.
Can I ask a favor of you, Tantoo?
Perfect.
My cousin Amy's watching. Amy Hoodier. Can you say hi to Amy? She's my cousin here.
Hey, Amy.
She's gonna love that. Thank you. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I got a bunch of. I got my mom in here. I got my homie Max, who actually made the shirt. Yeah, lots of people came out to see you today, Tantoo, and thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. I really, really appreciate it.
Okay, great. I'm glad I was able to do
it. Can you hang out just a little bit after we go off? Kim wants to say hi, if you don't mind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll say bum up P to everybody hanging out, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for hanging out, and be sure to share the conversation. All right, until next week.
Mercy.
No, Almina.